I think the criteria is top 5, but we're going to go really top 5 who won titles in Boston. I think that has to be number 1. And then number 2 would be the honorable mentions, which means any point guard who's ever played here, whether they won or not. So it's a pure talent type thing.
NBA History Channel is powered by PrizePicks, the exclusive daily fantasy partner of the CLNS Media Network.
You said before we started this, there's not a ton.
Not a ton of Celtics.
Not a ton. And I think that says something, right? Because you try to build around Rondo, it doesn't really work.
Mm-hmm.
You try to build around Kyrie, it doesn't really work. Isaiah, Kemba, all the way down the line. In modern basketball, in today's game, there's a lot of great point guards, but not many of them you can build a championship team around. They're smaller. The defense is so much more important now. And Rondo was a great defender, so I'm interested to see where he ranks here.
When he was engaged,
Right.
he was an all defensive player, and you could always count on him nationally televised games to really play defense. He did everything when TNT was in town.
So who would make your list? Top
Yeah,
5?
man. I mean, so I'm going to start, and I'm going to say it in no particular order, or should we rate them in order?
No particular order is fine.
No
We can maybe
particular order. So I'm
after.
going to go with some of the common sense ones first. I think the criteria is top 5, but we're going to go really top 5 who won titles in Boston. I think that has to be number 1. And then number 2 would be the honorable mentions, which means any point guard who's ever played here, whether they won or not. So it's a pure talent type thing.
Right.
But we won't mix the 2 lists. Make sense?
Yep.
So in my top 5, and I got to have Bob Cousy.
The remarkable Bob Cousy. Since this playoff ends Bob's career as a player, we'd like to pay him his closing tributes. We know you'd like to see some highlights of his fantastic basketball wizardry.
Bob Cousy, All-American from Holy Cross, 6'1", weighing 175 pounds. Although small by pro standards, Bob is one of the all-time basketball greats.
Out of Koozie, flying pass.
Bob is an outstanding playmaker and team spark plug.
He was unique. He did things with a basketball that hadn't been done before.
Bob Cousy hooking, he hit it. Koozie, make
Koozie is number 14. He scored 35 for the night. The fans came out to see Koozie play.
Another great performance by Bob sees a masterpiece of twirl and overhead dexterity.
I certainly was aware that my style of playing was attractive to fans in those days, that it was a selling tool at a time when we were trying to do everything we could to attract people in.
Koozie looking for a man. Out to Sam Jones. The jumper. Good.
So I'm going to go with Bob Cousy. I know J.J. Redick is going to call him a plumber. They're going to say he can't dribble with his left hand, even though in blue chips he must have made about 20 consecutive free throws with his left hand. But he was the league's first superstar. I mean, you're talking about a guy who legitimately blew up the league with flair, behind-the-back passes, invented the fast break, and was part of Red Auerbach's first, I think, 6 titles. So he's got it. Koozie has to be there. I'm going to go with JoJo White.
JoJo White takes the pass from Westfall and points and ran him right in the ground.
Being drafted by the Boston Celtics was one of the best things to ever happen to me.
JoJo White gets it on the run. He's got a 2-on-1. Mullins in the lane. The defender. White past him, lays it in.
At the perimeter, White. 10 again.
JoJo White pulls up and drills it.
You know, 1970s, classiest guy. When I started covering the Celtics, even till the end, JoJo was at almost every single game, so he was really present within the organization for decades. Won 2 titles in the 70s with Hondo and Cowens. I think he played until like 83, but the Red traded him at some point. But JoJo's got to be there. Got Finals MVP in 1976. Then I got Rajon Rondo, obviously. I go so far as to say Rondo might be number 2 all time on the Celtics list. But I have him here at 3 right now. All the reasons we mentioned. Well, he led the championship team as a sophomore player in the league. He led veterans, Kevin Garnett, Hall of Famers, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, led them to an NBA championship against the dreaded Lakers. Rondo was just flair. He was the modern day Bob Cousy.
By the way, 4th in Celtics history behind Koozie, Havlicek, and Barrett in assists.
That says a lot, right? That says a ton. And he played here, 7 years? So, I mean, that alone says a lot. And these weren't, as you remember, Bobby, these were not just regular passes.
First in assists per game.
These were passes that I remember 10 years later.
Right.
These were
behind the back,
faking
the court,
behind the back,
faking.
Behind the back through the legs. He just had such big hands, so he controlled the ball so well.
It was masterful.
It was, and he knew. And I said this. We posted on Instagram or Twitter today. But maybe both. Rondo's greatest Celtics moments. There were some obscure ones. I commented on it. People forget how many assists Ray Allen is responsible for to Rajon Rondo, because Ray, when they were synced up before they had their falling out, Ray was on the receiving end of so many of those crazy passes when Rondo would penetrate and dish to the corner, which is kind of a foreshadowing to today's game.
Right.
A lot of that in 08 through 12, a lot of it was either posting up, drawing the double team, kicking it out to Ray or the snipers for threes, or Rondo penetrating and kicking out. Rondo was one of the best I've ever seen at that. One of the best lobbers I've ever seen. I mean, the oops that
and that's a tough skill. Even the entry pass, you had to do that back then often. Now it's a skill that's gone.
The entry pass, we could do a whole video on the entry pass and the pick. Setting picks, because we don't do that today.
This team's pretty good at picks.
They're better than last year, for sure, because Rob Williams was the worst.
Oh, he's so bad.
PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It is the easiest and most exciting way to get on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and watch the winnings roll in. PrizePicks is so easy to play. I can make my Celtic picks and make my entry in less than 60 seconds. Quick withdrawals and easy gameplay and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes PrizePicks the #1 fantasy sports app. Celtics and NBA fans, you can get in on PrizePicks in 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. On PrizePicks this week, I'm selecting Jason Tatum to dish out more than 5 assists and his teammate Jaylen Brown to have more than 22.5 points. Download the app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit matchup to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. PrizePicks.
Then I got DJ. Now, the reason that, I mentioned DJ a little later, Dennis Johnson, is because by the time he got to Boston, he was really kind of a hybrid. Danny and him shared the point guard role.
Against Julius Erving, Dennis Johnson goes in, gets the basket in the foul. Julius with some good defense. Dennis Johnson penetrating. Against the Celtics.
Here's Bird coming off. Parrish's pick slides over. Bobby Jones, a real good defender, gets deep. And Moses Malone with a third kill.
Like they were trying out for the gymnastics team. Dennis Johnson working against Julius Erving. Runs him into a screen. Bobby Jones helped out. But KG, 3-on-1 break for Philadelphia. Malone. This shot blocked by Dennis Johnson. Barkley and DJ go after it. And it's Boston ball.
Dennis Johnson, the best defensive point guard the Celtics have ever had. 2 championships. I mean, he was the deciding factor from the Celtic, the only sweep Larry Bird ever had in his career in 1983 to winning the title in 84. Like, Dennis Johnson had already won an MVP and a title with Seattle. He was an all-star with Phoenix and then an all-star with Boston. Dennis Johnson has to be there. Where am I at right now?
I think you got your 5.
That's my
DJ,
5, right?
Rondo. You went with JoJo White. You went Koozie. And
DJ, Rondo, JoJo, Koozie. I got one more.
Eat stress-free this spring with Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals. I mean, what's better than that? Stress-free, springtime, nice weather, eating well. Every fresh, never frozen meal is chef-crafted, dietitian approved, and ready to eat in only 2 minutes. Choose from a weekly menu of 35 options, including popular options like Calorie Smart, Keto, Protein Plus, vegan or veggie. Also discover more than 60 add-ons every week, like breakfast, on-the-go lunch, snacks, and beverages to help you stay fueled and feel good all day long. So what are you waiting for? But get started today and fuel up for your springtime goals. Now you get chef-prepared meals on the table in only 2 minutes with Factor's ready-to-eat meals. So you can get back to doing what you love this spring, hanging out with your friends, playing some softball, some tennis, pickleball, whatever, right? You're looking for gourmet meals? Try meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon. I just like to say that. Filet mignon, shrimp, truffle butter, broccolini, and asparagus. No fuss, no mess meals. Factor meals eliminate the hassle of prepping, cooking, or cleaning up. Simply heat and savor the good stuff. Tailor to your schedule. Customize your weekly meals with the flexibility to get as much or as little as you need. Pause or reschedule deliveries to suit your lifestyle. Factor is your solution for fast, premium meals without the need for cooking. Head to factormeals.com/boomertakes50 and use code boomertakes50 to get 50% off of your first box plus 20% off of your next box. That's code boomertakes50 at factormeals.com/boomertakes50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next box while your subscription is active.
So I was torn on this one, and Xanis actually got in my ear about this. So I was gonna go Casey Jones. Casey Jones was a late Hall of Famer. I mean, I think 20 years after he retired. Not known for his offense, known more as a defensive guy. Won like 8 championships on the Russell teams.
And they've had a lot of those at that position.
They have.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna skip over Casey, and I'm gonna go with Tiny Archibald.
And that'll do it. The game is over. Boston has won. Only 3 teams have come back from a 3-1 deficit to force a 7th and winner. To the Sixers as the pass is thrown away by Dr. J. Holland's cutting across. Here's Archibald. He hasn't penetrated as much as he likes. If he does that, he'll score that way. Tiny trying to penetrate. Does. It goes. Screening for Tiny. Richardson left his feet on a defensive maneuver and bringing it in again by 4. Tiny penetrating, gets 2 baskets in a row. 9-point lead. Jones now 8 points in the ball game. They go into Parrish. Wide open is Tiny Archibald. They can put it together. They don't have to worry about a game 6. Tiny runs Tony into a pick and Bird on the layup. With Richardson fouls Tiny in the backcourt of this third quarter. Throws it away to Tiny Archibald, and McHale will get 2 back. The rookie from Minnesota, his 6th shot. Bird with Dawkins, feeding Tiny. What a pass by Bird!
Nobody wanted him because he tore his Achilles.
Right.
And back then, I mean, even today, you know, Sam Durant, but most players today don't come back from an Achilles. It's not often, and he did. Red gave him a shot. And he was an all-star 3 years, I think 2 or 3 years here. If we look at his entire career, I mean, he's one of the best ever that never gets discussed. But for Boston, he took a different role. He was not the scorer. He was the facilitator, defender, ball handler, and the leader. And won 1 title in 81. Still to this day, when people ask Tiny if, you know, where'd you play? He says, I'm a Boston Celtic. So we'll put Tiny in that list. Now you got your 5, and then we'll do our honorables.
Well, I think it's tough to...
It's going to be a lot of carryover.
It's going to be a lot of carryover. I think JoJo's a great one. I think Koozie you have to fit in there regardless of what you think of the era.
Why? Why? Just because of his impact on the game?
The impact, and, you know, you really did see in that Bill Russell documentary, they went deep into how he was the guy.
Yep.
And then Russell comes along and it transitions to Russell.
And they didn't always have the best relationship. So a lot of tenseness there, not a lot, but some tenseness there where Koozie has been around the record saying he should have done more about civil rights, and he didn't. And there was a little tension there, and yet they won how many championships together? 6, like, in a row.
Right.
Come on.
And it's interesting now because would we weigh Havlicek?
Havlicek wasn't a point guard.
But he sort of started that point forward thing.
He did that, Bobby.
So that's where you get into some of the modern aspects of the
I'm
game
so
there.
proud of this guy. No, I mean it, but like we can't put.
Well,
him
when
in
you
this.
think of a guy who's second in assists all the time on the team,
But he played 16 seasons,
Right.
And he was the point forward. Don't forget though, he was a 2 guard through the majority of his career, and then after Russell, he became a small forward.
he comes in at in terms of assists per game a little
But
lower.
he leads the team in everything, though.
Right.
You know, the franchise.
And he played
and
the most
everything.
minutes ever, right? too, in
And the guy
franchise.
never stopped. We could do a whole video on Hondo. That's one we'll bring Bob Ryan in for. So who else you got?
I gotta go Rondo on there as well.
Yep.
Absolutely. And then we'll round it out with who's your fifth choice?
This is where it gets tough, man, because the Celtics don't have a stable of point guard talent. Like, they just don't.
The fifth one's tough. So
It is. Did you say DJ?
Yeah, DJ's in there, Koozie. You gotta go JoJo and Rondo. So
You're between.
I'd go Havlicek, but since we're not allowed to here,
Can't do it.
let's go Marcus Smart.
Didn't win a championship.
Oh, that's a rule, huh?
You got to go Tiny or KC. You could probably do Sam, but he was more of a 2.
Sam Jones was more of a 2 for
2,
sure.
you know. I mean, who else is there? John Bagley?
Sherman Douglas?
Sherman Douglas didn't win a title.
Didn't
John
win a
Bagley
title
didn't win a
either.
title. Let's do the honorable mention, starting with Marcus Smart.
Marcus
You do
Smart.
yours first.
Top 10 all-time in assists now by the end of his
That's-
tenure, and he
that's
spends a good 9-10 seasons here.
NBA History Channel is powered by PrizePicks, the exclusive daily fantasy partner of the CLNS Media Network.